Hey guys, welcome to the Whitetail Anonymous podcast number 11. Today, Josh and I are going to have a discussion about trail cameras. How he uses them and all throughout the seasons, how I use them some, and what kind of intel we get from them, where we place them, what we put them in front of, and what we use. Just a little in-depth conversation about it with me and Josh. Say hey, Josh.
What's up, guys? And I know we've kind of touched on this subject a little bit before, but even, I've done a few other podcasts with Nine Finger Chronicles and Whitetail Rendezvous and, scheduled to do a couple more in the future, but I haven't really been able to go into much more detail. We're on a time crunch. We may have to make this one a part two, but I would really like to go into more detail on how I use my trail cameras and how vital they are. I've killed a few good deer, been blessed enough to get on a few good deer, but my success soared once I was able to start, buying more trail cameras and they become affordable. We can all have more. I think I own 24, 25 or something, so I'm running 20 plus almost always from September on, and there's so much information there that it's just hard to, talk about it for a half hour or 15 minutes and get everything you can out of it.
Yeah.
And, we're not saying this is the only way. We're not saying this is the only right way. This is the way we've done it and how I have become successful using them. And when people ask me what the number one thing is that has made me more successful especially over the last 5 or 6 years, it is trail cameras.
Yeah.
Period. I could not hunt without them. I could not learn what I learned about deer without them.
Well, I think Josh got a great point there, and this will be a good podcast for everybody, just informational based and everything. So let's jump right into it, Josh. Deer season just ended. It's January 1st. Where are you moving your trail cameras to?
Well, we'll go into kind of hit that later at the end of it, if you don't mind. I'd like to start off more into, let's say, late February, March.
All right, well, let's start there.
After the deer shed, let's say. And,
right.
I'll go into the shed, how I use cameras for trying to find sheds as well. But,
all right,
okay, February, March, I start studying math, and I'm a topo math junkie. There's not a day goes by that I'm not looking at a topo math and studying it. Even in the areas I've hunted and walked for years, I always study it. There could be that one place there that I'm overlooking or whatever. And I do this as far as trying to find hunting locations as well. But I start studying them and trying to find what I call terrain pinches, which I talked about before, and where deer kind of merge, those intersections in terrain pinches. They're not necessarily terrain pinches, terrain changes where the deer intersect.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, I don't know if this is everywhere, but in these areas, you'll get different groups of deer, like different doe groups, and, Buck's Core Ranges kind of seem to intersect right there. Some of them will venture on to other ones. Some of them will stay back further. They won't come into that area as much. They all overlap a little bit. But you can tell, who belongs there and who don't hang out a lot.
Now, Josh,
So I look for those areas that I think would be those areas. And I try to find them. And I kind of like mine a little bit higher. And I like to try to find a good clay base. The clay, it seems like the ground don't absorb the minerals as fast. Right? And, I look for those places first. Places, like I said, where all that aligns or where I think it could align. And you've obviously got to put boots on the ground and walk around and find, look at those there. There's a road, a gas well road, or somebody could have cut a four-wheel road through there. You've always got to put boots on the ground to find them. And start to clean up a little bit, but there's nothing so later. I try to find areas with a lot of mature timber, bigger birds, or high canopy. There's going to be some underbrush. I ain't talking about, pitcher perfect zero underbrush areas, but higher canopy areas. I don't know. I'm assuming it's cooler. It's cooler to us to get under high canopy trees. There's not as much sunlight, so these deer stay cooler during the summer. And then if you can find some kind of water hole, a natural spring or whatever in the area, or create your own water hole in these areas, it's another plus. It's another drawing point to draw deer into these areas. That's kind of the areas I look for. And once I started keying in on these spots, my trail camera started floating during the summer for that. So that's where I'll try to start making my mineral spots. And I'll make them in, usually I'm up in late February or March, and I will start making my mineral sites. And if it's a new site, if it's a site that has never been activated, in years past, I'll go in and I'll usually use 3 to 4 jugs of liquid deer cane on this, and I'll use 1, maybe 2 bags of Trophy Rock 465 and a Trophy Rock, and start using Herd 360 Maximizer minerals. We've been putting those in it this year, and we're having great success out of that product.
Yes, we are.
This year we're going to, we started our site with Trophy Rock, but deer coming this next fresh, we're going straight to the Herd 360 just because what the deer are doing to us.
Yeah, they're tearing it up.
And John, has been using a lot of that Herd 360 down here in North Carolina, and they are just absolutely hammering. I mean, you can see on their page, if you follow their page or whatever, how many deer are using these sites daily.
Yeah, they're Mike Kirkpatrick, the owner of Herd 360, has definitely figured something out with those minerals. They're hammering them, they're digging holes in the ground, and I've never seen them hit them like that. Josh, when you talk about finding these spots here, I know you've said something to me a while back, and maybe you want to talk about this later and tell me if you do, but spreading a few trail cameras out in that area. Do you do that in the early winter months, coming into spring too, or is that later in the year?
No, usually not during the spring. I don't. I usually just run one camera on the side itself. Now I will run. Like last year and this year, I'll run a cell camera. Is this what you're talking about? Running more than one camera?
Well, no, I've heard you say you find a good area, but you spread 3 or 4 cameras out to see how the deer are using that area. Maybe they're using a different trail. That's it.
Not necessarily this time of year. That's more. We can get into that later on towards the fall. But no, not right now. I don't.
Okay.
Usually, I'll just start the mineral sites, and I'll run a cell camera on it, and then I'll run another camera off video mode. And you got to watch about setting a video, like cell cam and the camera on video mode, because the flash, you got to make sure you got them line right, because they'll whitewash each other out if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And then you'll get a bunch of pictures of whitewash. So be careful about how you angle it. But I do like to run one cell camera, and then I will run another regular trail camera or another regular Spartan camera on video, along with the Spartan cell camera to get. So, you get a few big deer that you want to see. You learn a lot more about body language and who's the dominant deer as far as how he acts with other deer, pushing them off and this and that.
Yeah, on video mode, definitely. Even with a 20-second clip, it's amazing how much you can learn just by 30-second, however long you set it. But just learning from the deer on that. I've unless you want to add anything else in there, let's jump into summertime, Josh. Is there anything different you're doing with trail cameras in summertime?
No, other than one I just mentioned, I will fresh it. Like I said, we start usually late February, early March. I'll go in and do the first mineral, getting the first batch of minerals out. And if it's a new site, I go really heavy the first time. If it's sorry guys, I didn't mean to get stopped here. I'm getting ready to go through a road check. I'm driving home from work. If it's a new site, I'll go heavy on the minerals the first time with 3. Deer, good. We're good to go now.
All right, sorry about that, guys. Had a little issue. Josh was recording this on the phone, and Josh had to go through a road check on the way home. But Josh, you left off right there, going out of the phase of the February March time frame, going into early summer, midsummer. What you were doing different?
Yeah, like I said, March, like I said, I'll go in the new site. I'll go heavy on the minerals the first time. Then I try to go up and I refresh my minerals every 6 or 7 weeks. And this usually puts me around Memorial Day. And I'll do the same thing, but I won't go as heavy. I usually go, 2 canes, and then I'll go a maximizer, which is a Herd 360 product, which used to be Trophy Rock Crush is what I use. And that's in the May, and I'm not running cameras at this time. Some people do, that's fine. That's just for me. I'd rather be surprised that why not. This is when I start running cameras. So that's all I do then. And then going into July 4th weekend is usually when I deploy most of my cameras for the summer. So July 4th weekend, I'm always home for a few days, and I'll go up, get my cameras out. Like I said, I usually run one cell camera. I'll put a Spartan out on every mineral site I got, and I will run another camera on video to get those, great video shots that we all love to look at, and refresh all the mineral sites again, like I said. And usually I run 8 or 10 cameras during the summer, sometimes not quite that many. I think this year on everybody's side, I believe we'll have 18 or 20 cameras running. Cell cameras are close to it, on a few different properties. But just on my personal property, I think I'll have 6, 7 going. Or not my personal property, but my personal area I hunt. And through the summer, that's what I do. And, through the summer, you can learn a lot, especially with the cell cameras. So you can watch. I don't pay it as much attention during the summer as on weather, but I do notice it, like on nights when you've got 4 or 5 bucks coming to a side or whatever.
Yeah.
You can go back and look at that weather and see what that trigger was. And most of the time during the summer, it's a 10-degree drop in temperature, 12 degrees. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the wind or the barometric pressure during this time of year. I've noticed that I can't find much on it as far as that trigger movement, but the temperature is obviously
I notice when around here when like either right before a storm or right after like a real bad thunderstorm, they seem to move real good. I don't know if that's because of the temperature drop before and after, like you're saying, or if maybe they're moving weather-wise during that time too.
Yeah, it could be. I know the one thing that I've noticed big time, like I said, is that, a north wind, you'll get them with a north wind usually means you're getting, a little bit colder temperatures. Like the other day, we had cameras blow up, and I mentioned that, it was like 10 degrees colder that night.
Yeah.
Cameras were just blowing up. So I watched that a lot and try to figure out, this or that. And as far as wind direction, this and that, it's hard to get a good read on them, through the summer, at least from my experience. I won't even upload any pictures to Deer Lab during the summer just because of that.
Guys, if you haven't... So around July 4th, Josh, you got, most of your cameras out, or, 8 to 10 cameras during that time frame. Or I guess you're still having them on minerals, or still hitting minerals pretty hard. What's your objectives during that period of time?
So during the summer, main thing I look for, like I said, we've already kind of went over the weather. And, I don't run every camera I got through the summer, but I've got all my cell cameras out on mineral sites or water holes. And, what I start paying attention to here with bucks is obviously inventory. What bucks you want to shoot, what bucks are, going to make the hit list or are not going to make the hit list. I look more for, last few years I've been going, to that 5.5 age class, more than rack or whatever. Now there is, obviously if there's 170 and 40-year-old, it's going to be hard not to shoot in my area, but, we look for that. We start seeing which bucks are hitting which mineral site. And, this is a great tool you can get from summertime scouting with a drill camera is if you've got your mineral sites strategically placed every, on the property for the area, it ain't really a property. It's just, an old mining area. It's probably that long ridge and stuff I've got. I'm going to say it's 350, 400 acres that I kind of hunt out this one long ridge. And I make my mineral sites every quarter of a mile, I'd say. Close to 100 acres, maybe, something like that.
Yeah. So you're running about one mineral site per 100.
Basically, somewhere around that. And what this does is it allows me to see which bucks are using which sites the most and how much they're in there. So I know, it's like paparazzi, I know what site he's going to show up at 80% of the time. So I know that's in his core range, or at least closer to his core range. But that site is actually right in the heart of his core range.
Gotcha.
Another mineral site that is to the east of that is one he will show up sometimes, but not every day. He's there every week to 10 days, something like that, if not longer sometimes. So that's on the fringe of his core range.
Gotcha.
And you can learn a lot about core range and non-core range bucks, and bucks that are right on the edge that will overlap in core range. And the buck we call Swoop, I'll get him at, actually the same two sites I'm talking about. He will show up at one site, and you never, ever, ever see him at the other one. And it's only a quarter of a mile away at that, and it's not nothing of a walk. I could walk it in, 10 minutes, 15 tops. And for a deer, that ain't nothing. And he never shows up there. So that just show you he has no need, he has no interest to go out there or whatever. So you learn a lot about
the invisible lines.
Core, right. And where they should be, where they know they're going to be, and where they know they're not going to be. And during the summer, they even put up with each other more, but he still don't do it.
Yeah.
And some of these bucks, usually there's one or two sites that I'll get all the bucks on, and that's one of them. But then the other two mineral sites, I'll get these two or three all the time. Another one, I'll get these two or three all the time. This one, I'll get two or three all the time. So you kind of start to get an idea of where these bucks' core ranges are based off the mineral sites, because of the cameras you got there.
And I think it's funny. It's kind of like, all the boys will come to the park together, but you don't go back home with each other, and it's you got that one site where maybe everybody hits, but the core range bucks, they stay in their own area.
It's like a bar.
Yeah.
It's just like a bar. Everybody's got their favorite bar that they go to that's closer to the house on the weekends. But occasionally everybody will show up at one, just for the night to see what's going on and what it's all about, and then they'll branch back off and go home.
Yeah, and
more or less. So
now, go ahead.
And that gives me an idea of going into the fall on where I'm going to,
focus your time.
Hopefully, encounter some of these deer, start making, mock scrapes. Usually in September, I'll start making mock scrapes with the mock licking ropes that, Barry and Gene Wenzel started using, I don't know how many years ago. And I don't know if they're the first ones that created it, but that's where I first learned of it. Now there's a lot of people. Jeff Sturgis uses it, and Don Higgins uses it, and Jeff Sturgis uses grapevines more so than rope. And I'm going to try to implement some of the grapevine stuff into mine this year, but I've been using rope and had a lot of success with rope.
Now, Josh, I know you're more of a November hunter. Do you? And you said but you do make your mock scrapes in September, getting ready for the October, getting ready for the rut. What are you trying to learn from that time frame with those deer hitting those scrapes? I mean, I know it's pretty obvious, but what are your takes on that?
Well, again, it goes back to inventory and the hunches I had of which bucks were using what home ranges. It just kind of helps me, prove that I was right or I was wrong. This buck, his home range is right here, because I'll keep getting the same deer using those mock scrapes. And again, you'll get some overlap, and a lot of younger deer will keep using them, but very rarely. September ain't too bad, but when you get into October, you very rarely finally start seeing a lot of these mature deer coming into these other deer at home range.
Yeah, yeah.
Usually you have one or two. You might have one 5 or 6 year old or older deer using a mock scrape, but the other 4 and 5 year olds will rarely come in there and use them. Now you'll have a lot of 2 and 3 year olds that'll venture through, and they're not quite dominant yet. I don't guess they're seen as a bigger threat.
Yeah.
So I use them for that, and the pictures are great. You'll get some amazing pictures from them.
Yeah.
And then this time, starting in September, I also take my cameras and I start documenting daily weather logs. Not so much as I used to, but, for the help of Deer Lad, you haven't checked that out. John Livingston, I mention him almost every podcast because he's a big part of what I do. He owns a company called Deer Lab where you can upload the trail camera pictures and it'll give you, the
exact details.
Pinpoint. Yeah. You can pinpoint by GPS the exact location of that camera. You can get the exact weather details to the T of anything you want and learn when these bucks are moving as far as pressure, moon, this and that. And the main things I look for is the pressure, mainly if it's high or low, or wind direction, or I can't say it.
Precipitation.
Yeah.
There you go. I had trouble saying it too.
Yeah. And seeing if there's been a storm coming in or if there's a storm coming in, and a lot of mock scrapes, kind of off topic here though, after a good rain, you'll get a lot of these bucks. They'll come in and freshen up these mock scrapes.
Well,
especially through October.
One thing for you to get off mock scrapes, guys, if you've never jumped into it, and last year was the first year I really had great success with it, and I've tried it years past, and I went to Walmart and bought tinks and just never had really the success with it. But we Nationwide Deer Sense, we tried them out this year, and guys, it was awesome. Great results from it here in North Carolina. I got good results in West Virginia from it, and they got a great product. If you're looking to try something and get some real fresh deer urine, not the store-bought stuff from Walmart and that, check them out at nationwidesense.com. They do a good job, good clean facilities there. Sorry to cut you off there, Josh.
Oh, you're fine. It works. Yeah, I'm with him. It works great. And we've got plenty of pictures from last year to show it on my mock scrapes. And a lot of people get discouraged with making mock scrapes, kind of off topic from their trail camera topic here, but, kind of mock scrapes are a lot like mineral sites. You can't just make one just anywhere and expect to have a lot of deer on it, and especially have a lot of mature deer on it.
Yeah.
It's got to be in the right location.
Yeah.
It can't just be anywhere. It's got to be a place where a deer is going to come by. A dog ain't going to go piss on a fire hydrant that's out in the middle of the field where no other dogs are around. A dog ain't going to piss on a mailbox that's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
There's got to be traffic there. There's going to be a lot of other dogs around before that dog feels the need to piss on that mailbox because he smells other dogs.
Yeah, I agree.
You've got to have traffic coming by there for a deer to use a mock scrape.
And guys,
and usually once you start, John.
I was gonna say, and they are the best pictures out. I mean, if you're looking for one to put on the wall, there's nothing like getting a big old buck tearing a dang licking branch or licking rope up in a scrape. That's awesome.
Yeah, especially on video mode, or just regular pictures. It's great. And like I said, location on mineral sites and on mock scrapes. You got to have them in high traffic areas where deer are going to find them and go by them daily. And I guarantee you they will not pass by them. I promise you that. If you're using the right scent, they will not pass by them. And I try to hang them closer to some of my sets in terrain pinches just because I know 80% of the time when a buck's coming through there and I need him it's like I refer back to a dog peeing on a telephone pole or a mailbox. They almost can't help themselves. They got to go over for a smell, if not use it, just to see who's been through there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. That's a great tactic.
And like I said, it helps again with your inventory in the area. You know what bucks, and you're going to lose the bucks. Don't get discouraged because summertime I'll have 20 or 30 really good deer, 2-year-old up to 7 or 8-year-old deer. And once they shed antlers and they start dispersing, I may have 7 or 8 of those deer that are still locked in tight that I'm getting a lot of pictures of. That's not to say the deer aren't close, but they disperse a little bit because that's when those home rangers really start, they start getting aggressive about it.
Yeah. That's a pretty good little stopping point for part 1 right there, guys. We could go on for hours talking about trail cameras. We're going to have a part 2 of this podcast and get into, Josh is getting into the September, October phase. We're going to get into the rut phase, what's he's doing there, what's he's doing in the late season phase, and then even into the shed season phase, what he's getting his cameras on to see what's there. But guys, this podcast was brought to you by Spartan Trail Cameras. We are proud to be on staff for them. And the cellular cameras are changing the game. They're changing my game. They're changing Josh's game. It gives you.
And we will talk. We will talk about a little bit of the cell cams towards the end of this. And just to bring it up, we are having a giveaway. If you're not on our page or whatever, go like, share, tag 5 friends, and we are giving away a Spartan cell camera here, hopefully within the next month.
Yeah.
So go do that if you want to get a cell cam. The best cell cam on the market.
Yeah, it is the best on the market. And, we want to thank Spartan. We want to thank Dave Skinner for giving us an opportunity. She, for the owner of Spartan Cameras, for giving us 2 country boys that love chasing deer an opportunity. And couldn't thank them anymore. And, guys, if you're in the market, check them out at hcooutdoors.com or contact Herd 360, Mike Kirkpatrick. He'll give you a great deal on one as well. Stay tuned for part 2 of this podcast. Thank you for listening. And we check us out on the Facebook, Calculated Killers, or Instagram at Calculated Killers.